Woe, woe, woe to those who dwell on the earth at the blasts of the other trumpets that the three angels are about to blow. Woe is coming. That's the proclamation. You thought the first four trumpets of the trumpet judgments were bad? Well, woe, calamity, suffering, affliction is coming. The last three trumpets are going to be let loose. While the first three trumpets were let loose on the environment, the last three trumpets are going to be let loose on humanity, and specifically on those who have rejected Christ. The first woe is releasing the shackles. In fact, actually, all of the woes are, in some way, shape, or form, God releasing shackles that bind the enemy. And that's the theme that we're going to encounter throughout these woes, is that we think of these woes as being God's action against humanity, but they aren't. They're actually the rescission of God's action that has been protecting humanity. And I need to make that absolutely clear. This is not God's action. This is a rescission of God's action that has been for us a benefit. And that benefit is going to end. It's a cessation of God's action. He stops what he's been doing. He's been holding back great catastrophes for us. Take a look, verse 1. And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. John says, I saw a star that fell from heaven to earth, and he was given a key. Note the masculine personal pronoun, he. Up until now, every time we've seen a star falling to earth, I've told you, well, this is probably meteor showers of some sort, or a massive meteor of some sort. This one is not. That would be it. This is he. This is a person. So this is someone that we need to recognize, the person who has the appearance of a star, a person who has gravitas, beauty, wonder to draw the eye toward themselves. Because I think John is using that term star just the way that we use star today. A star in Hollywood is one that has gravitas and beauty, maybe. Talent. But this one is a fallen star. John didn't see him fall, though. That's not what we see here. The tense of the verb is a perfect active participle, and everybody that's not an English major went, so? Well, a perfect passive participle is basically a way of saying this action has taken place in the past, its consequences are over, it's finished, it's done. Another way of translating it would be, I saw a star having already fallen. Its results are complete. Didn't happen in front of John. And so this is one with gravitas, with eye-catching beauty, with wonder, that has fallen from heaven. And many have looked at that and said, oh, I know who this is. This is Satan. Maybe. It's a possibility. I mean, I'm not going to say that I know for sure that it isn't. But there's nothing within Scripture itself that you could look at this and say, oh, I know this one for sure is that fallen angel. But it is for certain a superior fallen angel, an archangel of some sort, because it's one with authority that is given to it. But there's no reason to presume that it is Satan. It could be. It also could be any number of any other luminary angels that have fallen. And I think the more relevant discussion in all of this is that this angel, like all of the fallen angels, are all subject to God, regardless of their star-like qualities. Look at what Luke records as the disciples are coming back from being sent out into the countryside. This is in Luke chapter 10. The 72 come back and they say, Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name. This is their first report. We knew we were going to do amazing things. We knew we were going to talk about you, but what we didn't know was that we would be able to cast out demons. And Jesus kind of takes this as a matter of course, and he says, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Now, let me point out in that passage that Jesus, as he's saying this, he doesn't use the same tense that John used in Revelation chapter 9. Jesus says, I saw it happen. I saw this. Because he did actually see this. Not at that moment, not at the moment that the disciples are revealing it, their authority to him. But what he's telling the disciple is that there is a reality that you need to grapple with. That we all, especially in our modern era, need to grapple with even more than the disciples did. That there is a reality of demons and evil in the world. It's there, it's present. Jesus is saying, I can tell you the moment that it started. I saw it happen. It's real. I saw Satan fall from heaven. Now, there's a tendency for us in a modern, secular, humanist society towards a false premise. We have, all of us, even in this room, even as people who believe in Scripture, we have this tendency towards this false premise, which is the natural world is the most realistic world. Or the natural world is all there is. That's what the secular humanist would say. But what we see over and over again in Scripture is the interaction between spiritual forces and the natural world. See, that's a different conflict than what we are used to. That's a different kind of evil than we really want to deal with or grapple with on a regular basis. We don't like spiritual problems. We don't. When we encounter spiritual problems, we often try to find some sort of physical solution for them, to those spiritual problems. We want practical problems that we can provide practical solutions to because we're practical peoples. That's what it is to be a secular humanist. We prefer evil that we can destroy with bullets and bombs. What do you do with spiritual evil? It's much more difficult. An evil that we cannot see is hard to confront. And that's why the disciples are amazed here when they come back to Jesus. Even the spirits obeyed us. We can tell demons, fallen angels, what to do. We can do that? And Jesus says, yes, because that battle has already been fought and won. And when you're on Jesus' side, you're on the victorious side. And because of that, the demons, the host, 1/3 of heaven that followed Satan in his rebellion are subject to the power of God because Jesus is the victor through and through. So he goes on to say in verse 19, behold, I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. Nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven. And Jesus says, because your names are written in heaven, I've given you authority over demons. That's the imagery that's there represented in serpents and scorpions. He's not talking about actual serpents and scorpions. I have news for you. He's not asking you to go out and step on them. He's saying these are demonic forces. The context of the passage is demonic forces. And because the context is demonic forces, he's saying they will have no power over you. In fact, you have power over them. And that's a great thing. It's a thing where we would wonder at that. But Jesus says that's not the thing to wonder at. The thing to wonder at is that you are invited into God's family, that you are a part of the kingdom, that your name is written in the book of life. That's the thing to be wondered at. That's the thing that you had absolutely no control over. Now that it's there, now you have power. And you should. You should expect it now that your name is there. The greater thing is that you have hope. Your future is vastly different from theirs. Their future is assured. There is no hope for the demonic forces. But you have been lifted up. So this fallen star was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. Wait, what is this bottomless pit? What are we dealing with here? Well, it's not hell. Let me discount that right off the bat. That's not what we're dealing with here. If you remember the story of the Gerasene demoniac, In the Gospels, Jesus goes across the lake, and as they approach the other side, there's a demoniac. You may remember he's called Legion because there are many demons in him. They tried to bind him with chains, and he broke free. He ran around the wilderness naked. Probably very scary if he approached you. Not something you would want. But you may remember that they begged Jesus as he was removing them from this man. They were like, "Don't send us to the abyss." And so Jesus sends them into pigs, and they run down the slope into the Galilee and are drowned. See, they knew that there was a place where they could be confined, the abyss, the pit. That's, I think, what we're dealing with here. It's apparently some sort of holding cell for the spiritual forces that God has already dealt with. It's not their permanent punishment, though. As we see here, the pit is opened. They're released. As we'll see in Revelation 20, they will be reintroduced to the pit again, along with the ultimate demon, the ultimate archangel fallen from heaven, Satan himself, for 1,000 years. But we are not to the millennium yet. That's the millennium. We're not to that yet. So this is a different event altogether that we're dealing with. They're released from this pit. And the release of that restriction, the gates that are over that pit, brings pain, torment, and destruction. See, God has been holding them back, and now that holding back has been removed. That restraint has been removed. As Locke shows us that God is continually there holding back the powers of Satan in the world. Now, make no mistake, there is no misfortune that is as bad as it could have been without God's intervention in it. Because look at what happens now as these demons are released on the world. What we see then is the smoke came from locusts, or from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions. There's those scorpions again on the earth. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth or any green plant or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads.